And this is just a Weller 100 watt on a rheostat to jump up to heat, actually. So I could use My American Beauty, but since I put a new tip in this thing, it works pretty damn good. That's kind of how a joint on zinc should look. If it goes all the way to the edge, it goes all the way to the edge. Some of us sacrifice strength for aesthetics. Or quality. And I understand there's a lot of us, you know, on these stained glass sites that have never done this, so how do they know how it's supposed to look? You know, and there's different soldering techniques also. Not everything's a blanket. It should look like this all the time. It should look like that all the time. Got a bit of a hole here, and the solder is filling it. Which is what I wanted to do. Now, one thing to try to understand is that this window was very loose when I took it apart. And it wasn't loose because it was old. It was loose because it was put together loosely. When I peeled the old lead off, there was glazing compound or putty on the front and the back of each piece of glass, not to mention around the edges. So this was very loose to accommodate that. And I'm letting my iron heat up for a second or two because I want the heat to build up, so I can get a decent bead here. Smooth-ish bead. Not a big honking ball like you've got a softball sitting on your cane, but a good smoothish bead. Because really this has got to go back into a window sash. And you can, you know, run caulk around the edge of the sash that has to go into. But if you've got a big honking ball there, you got to use a lot of caulk, a lot of putty, a lot of sealant, basically. And this did have a fair share of it. Cut that a little short. And when I pulled it out, okay. Now, when I'm done, like I say, this gets a half a rosette. This gets a rosette, this gets a rosette, that gets a rosette. They get even had rosettes in the corners. You see how I hold my flux brush? Not that really makes much difference. It's easier for me to do it this way. Hold on to it like this, so I can dip it into the container easier. Then put down the iron, pick up the brush, dip it, put the brush down. Okay. Not too bad. I still have to touch that up a little bit, but you get the idea. I'll have to go back and solder the other side. You don't need to see that in the video. I would assume that you've seen that before. Okay, so, and after I get both sides soldered, then I will putty it. Now, let me show you this real quick. This was the rosette that I took off of here. This was the mold I made with the water putty. I actually just drove a nail in the back of this, and when this started to harden up, then I could press it into the water putty to make a mold. Okay, and that's probably not the best one. This is probably the best one. This is probably one of the best ones. This is one of the best ones. This one isn't deep enough. Okay, and when I make these, I'll show you. Basically casting and pressing, because God knows how they made this. Stamped it, probably had a die and stamped it out of, you know, piece of sheet lead. Who knows, right? Who really knows? Thank you. God bless. Bye-bye.